are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. My name is John Carismo, and yes, we're just starting out a little bit late due to some technical difficulties. I don't know if the internet doesn't want this information disseminating out there for whatever reason may be. Call it conspiracy, call it coincidence, whatever it is. We're here now to talk about how you could actually activate your license without having to pay for realtor dues, for MLS dues, and most of the other costs it is that you would have of being a full service real estate agent. So we know this is a topic that a lot of people are definitely interested in, and there actually should be a live chat on this as well. Let me get this loaded up here, see if we get this chat loaded up. You should be able to click right in through the video to get into the chat, and if you're tuning in through Facebook and YouTube, I'm going to give you a special link where you could tune in to the official live broadcast and join the official live chat. And I just want to double check that this live link will work before I give you this live link. There we go. Perfect. Because if you have questions about any of this, I want you to be able to put that in the chat. For anything you want to get further clarification on, anything it is that you need some additional understanding on, that's what I'm here to help you do. That's why I love doing these live, why we don't just pre-record these here, and why we do run into stupid technical difficulties where Vimeo won't connect and all that good stuff here. So if you are watching over on Facebook or YouTube, or we're actually going to start streaming out on X as well now that they do have video streaming capabilities. There's a few other platforms we might be opening up to now in addition to that, but you could always find us as well as join the official live chat at tsre.us/live. tsre.us/live. You put that in. That's going to take you to the official live broadcast where you can chat with us, ask any sort of questions that you might have about the topics we're going to be sharing today, which again are how you activate your real estate license without having to pay realtor dues. And if you prefer to ask these questions confidentially, this phone number right here, you could reach out to one of our advisors. We've got an amazing team of advisors, people that have real estate licenses themselves, from sales associates to brokers, to instructor licenses as well. So any questions you have, any way we can help you out, call or text 24/7. We may not answer 24/7, but you can absolutely call or text just 24/7. Just a question of, are we going to answer right there, or are we calling you back the next morning? So 24/7. Around the clock, 365. Call or text us, 813-333-2676. Any questions you have, and again, confidentially, or if you want to ask those questions live on the chat, on the live stream today, your fellow viewers may appreciate the questions that you're asking. I mean, a lot of times the content that I provide is better when it is interacted. I mean, that's how I've refined a lot of the courses that we offer on an on-demand basis here at the Tampa School of Real Estate. It's based on years of doing these live with a live audience. So that's why so many people really enjoy our on-demand programs, because it's really as close as you get to a live classroom environment, because it's that essence that we bottled up and put into the courses there. So those are video on-demand programs, and of course we do have live online programs. But let's get back to the main topic of the day. What you're here for is how to activate your license without realtor dues. And there's going to be two main ways I'm going to share with you today on how you can activate your license without any realtor dues. One of the methods involves referral fees. Another method involves what's known as a Thompson broker, which is pretty uncommon, but it's a theoretical, hypothetical option that does exist out there. But I'm going to also share with you why, if you're considering an option like the Thompson broker option, And Thompson Broker isn't an actual broker. It was back in the day when this legislation was created that created this little loophole here. And this only applies in certain states. Florida is one of them here. But again, if you're trying to do things as a Thompson Broker, it really puts you in a very limited space of what you can actually do to serve your clients. So we'll talk about the different routes it is that you can go down in starting your real estate career. And ultimately, which one of these that's going to be the best for you is going to depend on how you're going about this here. Are you going to be doing this on a part-time or full-time basis? Maybe you already have a real estate license. Maybe you're thinking about getting a real estate license, but you've heard about the realtors and the board fees and so on and so forth. And the thing is, all of your realtor and board fees, they're a subscription. The MLS is a subscription. When you join a brokerage, there's usually some sort of annual dues or monthly dues or something like that for different tools it is that you're getting. And while there's a lot of agents that are making tons of money with these tools, potentially even millions of dollars with these tools, it does require your time, your attention, your willingness to make those tools work. A lot of times people will confuse running a business or being self-employed with the idea of having an investment. So for example, an investment is going to be something that's going to have passive cash flow. Like you buy a rental property, and yes, it may need some maintenance every now and then, but typically, if you're doing this at a large enough scale, you have people for that. You have contractors, you have maintenance people, you have landscape people, you have all these things managing this, so you literally just sit back and collect the checks. But with almost every investment, whether it's real estate, a stock, a bond, or whatever the case may be, in order to get regular payouts, consistent income from that, that's going to be something that you could live off, that you could survive off, and not even just that, but even thrive off of, that's where you need a more significant sum of money to be paid out like that. And so most people, they earn their money through earned income as an employee. And earned income as an employee, you're trading your time for money. You've probably heard that expression before. As we move into being a self-employed person and being a business, that's where you're more in control of your time. So if you're on a part-time basis, that's where you're going to want to consider more options such as referrals compared to full service. You could technically be full service on a part-time basis, don't get me wrong. But if we're going from like low level of work to high level of work, over here we've got, and I don't want to call this low because we're going to talk about the referral opportunity and how lucrative that could actually be. So I don't even want to call this low, but we're going to put less work. It's definitely that. There is going to be less money overall compared to full service, and that's why this could be worth it here, but it's significantly less work. And so if you're wanting to work more, if you're wanting to do lots of work, that's where, you know, trading time for money can do so much good, especially if you're a hard worker. But if you could learn a smarter way to invest your time in building something that could ultimately end up being bigger than yourself, now that is going to require more work. But it also is going to include more potential, more opportunity, and of course, more money. And then, like I said, there's that weird hypothetical, what's known as a Thompson brokerage. And this is, again, created by a legal loophole here. And so if you're doing either of these two options, this is what's not going to require the MLS or realtors. And I'm going to explain both of these a little bit more in detail so you know what it means to be a referral agent, what it means to be a Thompson brokerage agent, and then what it actually means to be a full service agent and why being a full service agent benefits from the realtors in the MLS. What is it that you're gaining in exchange for that investment in the subscription that you're paying for your realtor and MLS dues? Versus if you're not using those tools, that's where this option makes a lot more sense here, because it's very little money there. Whereas this is where we start to add up additional cost, additional things, because you're adding a lot more tools and services to be able to be a full service real estate professional. So look, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're breaking this down even further. Like I said, if you're watching right now over on Facebook, on YouTube, on any other different platforms, and you want to join the official live chat, any questions you have, go to tsre.us/live, click the little chat button, or if you have questions you want to ask confidentially, that's 813-333-2676. You can call or text us 24/7 at that phone number right there. So stick with us. My name is John Chrismo. You're watching State of Real Estate. So you just got your real estate license. How can you jumpstart your real estate business? The number one thing you should do before you do anything else is post-licensing. Now look, this is already a requirement, so you're gonna have to do it anyways, but here's why you wanna do it early. The sooner you do post-licensing, the sooner you're gonna learn the real-world concepts in post-licensing that will help you create a business plan, that'll help you plan for your success in real estate. Post-licensing is all about real-world topics that are usable, that'll help you grow your real estate business. And at Tampa School of Real Estate, we have the best post-licensing courses around. Find out more about how post-licensing can help you jumpstart your real estate career. Go to postflorida.com. Hello and welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. My name is John Chrisman. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. We're here today talking about how you can activate your real estate license here in Florida. Whether that's just the beginning of your real estate career, or maybe you've had a real estate license that you've kept inactive because you didn't want to join the Realtors or pay MLS dues. And in a lot of instances, it seems like those Realtor memberships are mandatory. And depending on the brokerage it is that you join, those Realtor memberships may actually be mandatory. So how does that work? Why is it that if you join a certain brokerage that the membership in the Realtors is mandatory? Why is it that you have to join, according to the Realtors, within 30 days of activating your real estate license with that brokerage, you're required to join the Realtors, which again, that requires a subscription-based payment, which depending on which local association it is that you're joining, it may vary, because you join a local association that then enrolls you in the Florida Association that also enrolls you in the National Association of Realtors. And your dues are broken down across all three levels, even though you're only typically making one payment with that. And very often with most MLS boards here, or most Realtor boards here in Florida, the MLS is also billed, at least at the time of application, as one payment. So up front, you're basically paying some sort of prorated amount for that year's of Realtor dues, as well as that year's worth of MLS, and it's prorated based on how much time it is that you have it. And in most cases, these Realtor and MLS fees are a subscription that's billed in a lot of cases in Florida semi-annually, where you'll have basically half of it paid in November and the other half of it paid in May. And ultimately, it ends up being about $800 or $900 a year for the Realtors and the MLS access. And now, in addition to that, if you actually are a full-service Realtor, there's actually probably other services, other systems, other subscriptions it is that you might be having to run your business, especially as you start to scale your business, as you start to advertise, maybe you hire an assistant. The business expenses can definitely add up. But there's enough money on the table to be able to pay all those expenses and then some if, again, you're running a productive full-service real estate agency. But if you're brand new and you're not well-informed, if you're brand new, you're not necessarily well-informed, you're not well-guided, and maybe you don't have as much time to commit to this, that could be it alone. If you just simply don't have the time to be able to do the work to get that business off the ground, that could also be an instance where you could very quickly be overwhelmed by all the things it is that you've basically jumped into the deep end for. To be able to, okay, I've got to do the onboarding with the MLS and the Realtors and do this orientation and do this compliance course, and then my Realtor wants me to do all these trainings, and Tampa School of Real Estate keeps telling me to take post-licensing. And so if you If you have ever heard the expression before of putting the cart before the horse, well, you are the horse. The brokerage it is that you join is the cart. And so if you're putting the cart before the horse, you're joining a brokerage and you're putting the idea of joining a brokerage before your own self-interest, your own goals, your own understanding. Because you've got to remember, in this business, you are the horse. And the horse doesn't push the cart. The horse pulls the cart. That's what that brokerage is hoping for when you join, that you'll be one of the lucky ones maybe that it works out for, that they end up making a bunch of money, you both together, which it could be a great thing. And if that brokerage does have a really good program, it could actually all turn out and happen that way, especially if you follow the program and so on and so forth. It could all work out. But if you don't have the time to commit to that, if you don't have the resources to commit to that, let's say you could afford to join the brokerage, but then when it comes to joining the Realtors, the $800 or $900 for your first year, maybe as much as $1,000 to $1,100 if you're joining it at one of the times where it's the highest prorations essentially because it just renewed or something like that. But now if if you're joining your broker, because let's say it's a very low cost to join the brokerage or something like that, and now you have to join the Realtors within so many days. But let's say you don't have any time available. Things are really busy at work. You're raising kids. And why did you commit to being a full service agent if you don't have any time to commit to that? Because again, the full service is going to be much more like a full-time type of gig. And maybe you plan on transitioning from part-time into full-time. There's a lot of agents, so I don't want you to get confused with this and think that, oh, well, if I can't do full-time, I can't be a full-service real estate agent. That's actually one of the things that I was told when I was brand new to real estate. The first brokerage it was I was joining, there was a lot of things that I was doing wrong, but the one thing that was pointed out to me by a senior agent, so the senior agent there, and senior meaning he had been doing this for a while, came to me and said, well, you know, you're just doing this part-time, and yeah, you do come in the office, you spend time here, but you can't just be coming in the office. You got to do this so much more. And he was right, they did be doing so much more, but he was wrong in saying that I needed to be full-time. Because since then, I've seen many agents start their real estate career on a part-time basis. And what's important is not whether you're part-time or full-time, but what's important is that you do have some time to be able to dedicate to doing the right thing. See, me showing up just to the office and sitting in the office and trying to learn by watching the people around me was basically one of the most terrible ways to try to learn real estate. One of the first things you should do once you get your license is complete post-licensing. And so when you get your real estate license, you do not have to join the Realtors right away. So many people are ready to, again, jump the gun, put the cart before the horse, and get right out there. I got to join a broker. I've got the license now. I could go out there and get my $1 million listing. You absolutely could get a $1 million listing. And that $1 million listing at a 3% commission, that's going to be a $30,000 commission, and that's just for your side of the deal. You represent both sides. You might be ending up with $50,000, $60,000, and maybe that's as much money as you were making as the job that you're planning to quit. And so the opportunities are real, but so is the frameworks and structure and work that you have to put in to get yourself to the point to where you can earn those $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 commission, even a $10,000 commission. Whether you're selling a $300,000 property or a $1 million property, overall, the technical work is pretty similar. You might be being a little bit fancier, maybe presenting yourself a little bit nicer, and so on and so forth in a more luxury type of home. You're maybe definitely going more all out in your marketing because you have to reach that audience that might not necessarily be local that could afford those higher priced homes. And so again, if you're able to put in the work, if you're a hard worker and you want to work smart so you can make much more money with your hard work. See, that was what I was experiencing before I came into real estate. I was a really hard worker. I would always try to get as much overtime as I could. It was a sales-based position, so I was always trying to max out all the sales that I potentially could to be able to max out the bonuses and commissions I would be able to earn. Because it was capped. That was also one of the things that doesn't really exist in real estate. You don't have an earning cap. You could literally earn as much money as you could possibly make, and there's like literally trillions of dollars of real estate in the world. So the little sky is the limit of how much money you can make through real estate. And when you do the math, you could make thousands of dollars per hour compared to maybe 10 to 15 to, I don't know, $100 an hour even sounds good, but nothing compared to thousands of dollars an hour. And that's where a lot of people will say, okay, I can do this part-time. And, you know, they think of it almost like that, okay, I'm applying for a job and I'm basically going to get a paycheck in 2 weeks for thousands of dollars just because I showed up. And so when I say people, I mean myself too, because that was me. I was getting ready to quit my job. I hadn't yet, so I was still working a full-time day job. And then whenever I had days off, I was there in the office working. So I was literally working 7 days a week. And then on top of the days I wasn't working in the office, I was working in the evenings, the afternoons and mornings, whenever it was I could get around my shifts it was that I was working. I did a lot of telemarketing and sales. And so I was trying to navigate around that into making real estate my way of earning a living. But I was so messed up in the head because I literally, I knew this wasn't, I know that you can't just show up and get a paycheck just because you're a realtor that you're going to be making all this money. I knew that. But what I didn't realize is that I was wasting time doing all the wrong things. Because number one, first biggest mistake I made is I didn't take post-licensing right away. It's a requirement, and not only is it a requirement, it's much more practical knowledge. And so that's going to already put you in a way better space to be able to understand this, whether you're going to go full service or just do the referral side of things. Because even if you're just doing the referral side of things, so what that means is that you're not joining the realtors, you're not paying for MLS dues because you're not actually servicing the customers. So in a referral brokerage, you're not servicing. And when I say a referral brokerage, there's specific brokerages you would want to join that are referral brokerage. You would not join a full service brokerage if you want to avoid the MLS and realtor dues. Because going back to why this is a requirement is because it'd be great if, you know, we just got double commission on all of our deals, right? And that would mean we represent both the seller and the buyer. So if we represent both the seller and the buyer, that's how we get double commission on the deals. But the problem is the whole nature of real estate is the one single agent, no matter how good they are, no matter how much of a super agent they may be, and no matter how much they even do in marketing for the property, chances are there's going to be another agent that represents the buyer just because of sheer numbers. They could be the biggest super team in the world and there could still be another agent that's just a single agent somewhere at another brokerage that has the buyer for that property, and there's already a pre-negotiated agreement in the MLS for what commission is going to exist. And so being a full service brokerage, if you want to really be able to service clients, you can't really just sell your own listings, because how many listings can you really have in the grand scheme of the entire market? You could be the biggest real estate team in the country. Not even you could be the biggest real estate team literally in the world, and you're not going to have all the listings. And so what happens if somebody wants to buy a property that isn't your listing? Well, that's why you have the MLS. You have the MLS because this is a subscription that you subscribe to. You subscribe to this service, this database. You subscribe to this database of all this property data, but the whole notion of doing that is not just because it's like Zillow or Realtor.com or whatever, just some place where you can find property data. You're doing it because of the agreements that exist already on the spot, that you could go to the listing and see, oh, I'm going to get paid 2.5% or 3% or 3.5% or whatever the commission is that the seller has already agreed to pay the listing agent, and that listing agent is now agreeing to split out with a cooperating agent because they're not going to try to sell the property on their own. Well, they might still do that. They might still try to sell it on their own, but they know that even despite their best efforts of trying to sell that property on their own, there's likely going to be some other agent in another brokerage that has the buyer, just again by the statistics of the numbers. There's just so many buyers out there and so many other agents that chances are you'll be working with somebody else. And now to work with somebody else, that's where the realtors come in. Because other than the realtors and the MLS, there really is no standardization amongst the real estate brokerages. The realtors and the MLS is what provides a certain level of standardization from the MLS to also the fill-in-the-blank form contracts that you're using. So there's one single contract that you're probably using in 99% of your deals. We actually have a training course on it. I want to say it's only like 30, 40 bucks or something like that. And it's a little 2-hour, 3-hour video course that breaks down every single line of this as-is contract. So if you actually are being a full-service agent, you'll either want to do that or some training from your association of realtors, or maybe your broker has some sort of training that's going to get you up to speed on this contract. Because you're not writing contracts from scratch, you're just filling in the blank. And that's, again, yet another benefit of the realtors. So if we step over here, back to, well, you know what? I mean, that all sounds good. And yes, I ultimately do want to transition to being a full-time real estate agent, making real estate my life. But maybe you don't have the money right now to pay for the MLS and the realtors. So my transition plan for you then is to join as a referral agent, because one of the most important skills as a real estate agent is going to be lead generation. That is actually probably your most valuable skill as a real estate professional, is your ability to generate leads. Because if you can't generate leads as a full service agent, there's a few options for you. And why can't you generate leads? I don't know. We could discuss that later, because there's plenty of opportunities like open houses, like cold calling, like door knocking, like community events, and flyers and farmers markets and past clients and referrals and so on and so forth. Or you could like pay to advertise. There's tons of different places you could advertise. You could even pay places like Zillow to be a recommended agent on random listings. You could pay for that. And ultimately it could work out to a pretty hefty price per lead. And so that ultimately is also something I would typically advise. Really, I would advise all agents to really consider that as the last form of lead generation that you're using. And not just because it's the laziest form of lead generation, but also because it's the least effective form of lead generation, and also because it's the most expensive form of lead generation. And so remember, we're already talking about realtor dues, MLS dues, and now we're talking about paying for leads. Absolutely not. At least not up front. Because if you want to pay for leads up front, sure, call up Zillow and pay them whatever price they want to charge for their crappy leads that don't have loyalty to you, that you don't know really as much data about them. And yes, they've done things to improve it since, because I actually used to advertise with Zillow way early on in my real estate career. And I know it's changed since then, but the ultimate essence of it is the same, is that there's no personal recommendation or referral, and they're just a click away from another agent, because that's the only way they found you, is a paid click. And so rather than paying up front for these leads through these different lead generation platforms, you can even advertise directly on Google or build landing pages or search engine optimization. There's, again, so much you could do for lead generation. But why that is so important is because without leads, you have no customers to serve. And if you have no customers to serve, you make no money. And now you're just paying for realtor dues and MLS dues just to have access to the data, which, again, it's cool data. And if you can afford that, sure, go for it. But if you want to make sure that running out of money isn't the reason why your real estate business goes out of business, that's why you need to be smart about this. That's why you need to be informed, and that's why you should not be paying up front for leads. Instead, you should build a referral network with agents. They could be even agents who only do referrals. They could be agents who actually practice real estate. Maybe they're an agent in New York, and there's tons of people moving from New York and all of the Northeast and really throughout the whole country, people that are moving to Florida. And so if you get in contact with these agents in these other markets and you say, hey, I'm willing to share 30, 40, even 50%, whatever you want to negotiate, whatever gets the deal done, that's up to you. You negotiate how much you're willing to kick back to them if they send you a lead. And maybe if you're willing to pay them 40%, why wouldn't they want to give you the lead compared to another agent they would normally give the leads to that would only pay them 25%? And you might say, why would I pay 40% when the other agent is only paying 25%? Because you're brand new and you're desperate for the business, and this is not costing you any money up front. No money down leads. That's what referrals are. They're no money down leads. And you could be on one side of it or the other, because as a new agent or really at any stage of your career, you should always be on at least one side of referrals. And that's either on the side of taking referrals, so that way you're not having to pay up front for leads that might not close. Because with a referral, there's only a payment if there's a closed deal. If we close a deal That's where there's commission earned, and that's where now the referral fee gets kicked back to this referral agent. And the referral agent, if they're just at a referral brokerage, again, that agent is not paying for the MLS. They're not paying for realtors. They have very little cost overall. You might be paying like $100, $150 a year, something like that, to maintain your license. And that's it. Versus where here, it's probably going to be over $1,000 a year. Which, if you're making $100 grand, sure, $1,000, why not? I can afford a lot more expenses with that much money coming in. But you don't start at that level. You don't start at that level. Now, you might have enough money saved up to jump right in and be able to wait it out until you can build up enough business. But if you're not there yet and you still want to get started, you still want to get going, and if you want to become a broker someday, this is even going to earn you broker experience. As the law stands right now, this may change in the future, but I've said that for years and it never has yet. But as the law stands right now, as long as your license is active at a brokerage, it could be a full service brokerage or it could just be a referral brokerage. It just has to be a brokerage. As long as your license is active at a brokerage for at least 2 years in the last 5 years, that now makes you eligible to get a broker license where now you could start your own brokerage. And yes, there's some cost associated with that, but ultimately that could be a much more lucrative type of situation for you compared to having to pay for the overhead of especially some of these larger brand type of brokerages, where whether that's in the form of commission splits or transaction fees or monthly dues or annual dues or however it is that brokerage makes money off of you. Because in most cases, the brokerage itself isn't selling the real estate. In almost every case, the brokerage itself doesn't sell the real estate. It's the individual agents acting on behalf of that brokerage who are doing the transactions. So again, remember, you are the horse, and don't put the cart before the horse. So get your post-licensing done as soon as you get your license, because again, you're going to learn a lot from that goes way beyond just the laws and rules that you're learning in your pre-licensing. And then take a hard look at your business plan of what it is that you're trying to do and what's going to make the most sense so you don't bankrupt yourself. You don't want to bankrupt yourself. You don't want to put yourself out of business because you ran out of money because you didn't think enough through. Especially when there's information and knowledge like this that is out there and available for you to help put you in a situation. And one thing I also want to talk about here is the Thompson brokerage, because we haven't touched on that yet. So that's kind of what's in the middle here. And for the most part, these don't really exist. They can, it's legal for them to exist, but the problem is in a Thompson brokerage, it's where the brokerage itself chooses not to be a member of the Association of Realtors, and therefore none of the agents have to be members of the Association of Realtors. And you can potentially get the MLS, but then you can't necessarily get things like maybe the super keys or other types of things. And so what it does is it creates a possibility, but nothing where I've seen no Thompson brokerages out there that are like thriving brokerages. They're very actually hard to find themselves. And they're not called Thompson brokerages. They just don't call themselves realtors. Because in order to call yourself a realtor, you have to be a card-carrying member of the Association of Realtors, meaning you're paying your annual dues for the Association of Realtors. Then you're allowed to use the term realtor. Otherwise, you're just a real estate agent, a sales associate, a real estate licensee, a real estate professional, or basically any term you could call yourself that isn't the term realtor. Because that term realtor is a trademark. You'll have to see the little R's, the registered trademark. And again, there's a bunch of benefits it is if you're actually serving clients, if you're actually doing real estate. But if you're not doing real estate, consider focusing on the referrals. And even if you're planning to make the transition from part-time into full-time, it makes a lot of sense to really hone and improve your lead generation skills. And if you don't have the tools yet because you haven't made the jump into a full service brokerage, because at any point in time you could decide to go from the referral brokerage to a full service brokerage. You could change. You could just go activate your license somewhere else. So you could always change your license when you're ready. Because maybe you do come across a hot lead and it's something that's in your area and you've been practicing up and working on your knowledge, and so you're actually going to be a lot more prepared than a brand new agent who just got their license, who hasn't even done post-licensing yet. If that's you, you really should be pumping the brakes on joining a brokerage. Unless if you're enrolled in your post-licensing and you're just waiting for the class, then sure. If you want to get in there and maybe start doing some of those brokerage trainings, go for it. But the post-licensing is designed to be your 101, your 102 really. If pre-licensing is 101, post-licensing is 102. Which if you make it to like 2 years out or 18 months out, whatever your renewal deadline is, if you make it that far and you haven't done post-licensing, all that post-licensing stuff is going to probably seem pretty redundant because you already figured this out one way or another, probably the hard way. Versus you could learn this information up front, save yourself a lot of money, a lot of headaches, a lot of frustrations, and also potentially even save your real estate business. Because if your real estate business never gets off the ground and you decide to not renew your license, then that's the end of the story. But if you get the knowledge and information you need up front, before you even have to join a brokerage, before you have to pay anything, you go sign up for the post-licensing, pay for that. Yes, that is a requirement. If you want to be in this beyond 2 years, you will need to do that post-licensing course. There's no questions about it. And in some cases, as little as just 18 months, your license will expire. And so many people, myself included, look at that course as something that's just a waste of time, really. That's the simplest way I could put it. I saw that as a waste of time because I thought it was going to be just like pre-licensing, the laws and rules and all the BS that I didn't think was important for real estate. And I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of laws and rules that, yes, you need to know so you don't break the law, but laws and rules don't teach you how to make money. They just scare you about all the things you could do wrong while you go about making money. So that's why it's so important that you actually have some context and substance of the foundations of what your real estate career will look like. And again, that's what you're learning in your post-licensing course. It won't teach you everything, but it's going to give you a foundation to stand on now when you go to do your training at whatever brokerage it is that you're joining. Because even if you're just joining a referral brokerage, there should at least be like some sort of video or something showing you the one-page referral agreement and how to fill it out. Because that's really as simple as referrals are. Simple one-page agreement. You agree to 20, 30, 40, 50, 100% of the commission, whatever you agree to. Both you and the other agent sign off on it. You refer the client over to them. Now, if they never close a deal, you never earn any money. But if they close a deal, you're entitled to whatever percentage of the commission it is that you agreed to on that commission referral agreement. So that's extremely lucrative. And don't discount the referrals. Because even if you are a full service agent, remember all the times where you've got a commercial deal and you don't do commercial, or it's somebody who's moving out of state. Get them in touch with somebody in that other state so you can get a kickback, a referral fee. These are 100% legal as long as you have an active real estate license. You could be maybe just overwhelmed and just have too much business, or maybe it's a first-time home buyer, and you know first-time home buyers are more work than a non-first-time home buyer, so you want to refer it to somebody who prefers to work with first-time home buyers for whatever reason. Maybe because they have trainings and educations and videos and explainers and things like that. Because that's the one type of client that's probably more work than any of the other ones, is a first-time home buyer. Those are your deals that are also the most likely to fall through. And that's, if I were to talk about top 10 mistakes agents make as a new agent, is focusing on first-time home buyers. Now, you may be a first-time home buyer as a real estate agent. There's a lot of people that get their real estate license because they want to become a homeowner themselves, and so they get wrapped up in the first-time home buyer stuff, which, you know, if you could learn that and disseminate that information well, sure. But that takes a lot more work than just working with somebody who maybe already affords a home, already owns a home, maybe has significant enough equity to be able to have a substantial enough down payment where qualifying for a mortgage really isn't even a concern for them. And does it take much more work? No, in that case, it actually takes less work compared to the first-time home buyer because you're not having to educate them on all of the home ownership ideas. And especially if you're not even a homeowner yourself, it's, as they like to say, the blind leading the blind. So that term, the blind leading the blind, meaning a non-homeowner leading another non-homeowner into home ownership. At least one of you probably should own a home. If it's not you, then maybe the people, or at least maybe they've owned a home before. Because if neither one of you have owned a home, you're both going to be banging your head against the desk. So that's another tip I have for you is as a new agent. And again, this is stuff that you'll learn the more you're around real estate. And so if you want to stick around in real estate, you've got to make sure you can afford to stick around. And if you take on all of these costs right off the get-go with not having any clue or any idea of what to do with the MLS, what to do with the realtor tools, what to do with the super e-keys, and maybe you don't even have any leads, you don't have any clients set up and ready to go, now you're just paying to call yourself a realtor. Don't pay to just call yourself a realtor. Pay for those tools and services and subscriptions if you're ready to be a full service agent and you have clients ready to go that you're ready to serve, or you have options laid out. This is what you're going to lay out in your business plan that you do in post-licensing, is your plan for lead generation. That could involve you, okay, I'm going to immediately start calling agents in other states and start building a referral network. I mean, you don't need to be at a full service brokerage to do that. You could be at a non-full service. You could be at a referral brokerage and just be calling up other agents. Hey, you want to work together with some referrals? Can I send referrals to you? Would you send them to me? You know, even if you might not have the capacity yet, say, hey, you know, I'm at a referral brokerage now, but I'm actually thinking about activating. I just don't want to do it yet because I'm not ready to pay for all the realtor and MLS dues, but definitely keeping me in mind if you've got some leads to send my way. Here's my email, here's my personal cell phone number so you could reach me, and you build your network out that way, and that costs you literally nothing but your time and phone calls. And now you have sources for leads that are not going to bleed you dry, because that's what Zillow or Realtor.com or any of these places will do. And that's why so many realtors hate them, is because they charge a lot of money for poor quality leads overall. That's what their business model is. And it's a very profitable business model, which is why they've grown as big as they have there. But really, in this day and age, I don't want to say this, but it is your own fault for not seeking out the information of better ways to do business. Because I made that mistake. And yes, there was less information available when I started in real estate, but there was still the internet, there was still YouTube, there was still a lot of different things that were out there that I could have utilized to be able to make my real estate career go smoother and faster. And of course, now there's also Tampa School of Real Estate. So shameless plug here, but that's honestly what we're here for. We're here to help guide you. That's literally our mission, and what separates and differentiates us from every other school that's out there from day one is our mission to serve you beyond just the required class to get your real estate license. So many schools look at themselves as just a provider of a class. Yes, that's what we sell here as classes, but we're not a provider of classes. We're a provider of futures, brighter futures. We're a provider of new careers. We're a provider of new opportunities. And it takes a lot more than just what you learn in the classroom to get your real estate license to seize all those opportunities. That's why we're here every single Friday, so make sure you're subscribed. You can find us every Friday at tsre.us/live. Again, that's tsre.us/live. Tune in with us here to get the information you need to grow your real estate career, to get it off the ground, to jumpstart it wherever you're at. And again, you want personalized, confidential support and help, reach out to us, 813-333-2676. That's about all the time we've got for you here today on this week's episode of State of Real Estate. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next Friday, 12 noon Eastern time. Until then, have a fantastic weekend. Have a great week, and I'll see you then. Are you studying for your Florida real estate exam? If you are, you need to check out our Pass First Try strategy. You're going to love this. It's 4 steps that we break down the process to study for your Florida real estate exam. So you're set up to pass your Florida real estate exam, because that's what you're studying for, right? To pass your exam. It's 4 steps. Number 1, you learn the information. You've got to learn this to be able to pass the exam, but it doesn't stop at learning. Step 2, you've got to reinforce the basic, simple, key concepts. As you learn this information, keep reviewing the simple things. You don't need to know everything, but you got to review these basic key concepts. Step 3, you've got to test your knowledge. The exam's going to test your knowledge, so if you don't test your knowledge in advance, you won't find out if you know what you think you know until you take the exam. And then step 4 is be confident and prepared, because even if you know this material, you need to be confident that you know the material. Check out the full strategy at passfirsttry.com. That's passfirsttry.com.
Have you seen what's going on in Tampa?
If you're looking to get in on the real estate action that's going on in Tampa right now, we're who you need to talk to. We can help you get your real estate license, start your real estate career. We're here to assist you for the life of your real estate career. Give us a call. Phone number is 813-928-0106, or check us out online at tampaschool.com.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
If you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate.